Hi everyone, welcome. This is SOWK706, the Trauma-Informed Policy class. And in this video, we're just going to say welcome and acclimate ourselves to the course and the syllabus and sort of what we're doing this semester. So I usually start most of my videos with just a brief agenda, and this one's no different. So this is just the things we'll run through here in this video. First, couple of things about me. I'm an adjunct instructor with Edinburgh. I've been with Edinburgh since 2014 or 2015. And although I've missed occasionally a summer when they don't need me, or an occasional semester, fall or spring semester when they don't need me, for the most part I've taught just about every semester for Edinburgh. Now, because I'm an adjunct, I have other full-time responsibilities. I'm currently a researcher. I work for the Clinical and Research Institute on Addictions, which is part of the School of Medicine at UB. I have a PhD in social welfare from the University of Buffalo. I have an MSW from the University of Buffalo. I'm licensed to practice social work in the state of New York. And I also have another master's degree from the University of Utah in Salt Lake City, and then an undergraduate degree in history from Westminster College in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour, maybe 90 minutes or so south of Edinburgh. I teach exclusively for Edinburgh. I teach exclusively online. So I put a map up just to show you sort of where I am. This is Buffalo over here. Obviously, this blue dot is where I am. Edinburgh is down here, maybe 2 hours by car or so. And I know, obviously, students at Edinburgh are from all over the country and sometimes all over the world. So you'll tell me where you are in the week one introduction. I always get a kick out of how far apart everyone is. And yet here we are all coming together to talk about trauma-informed care, things like that. So like I said, I'm primarily a researcher. I'm most of my interests are have to do with trauma and substance use. The connection between exposure to traumatic stress and substance use. And lately, I've been moving, into some recovery questions as well. Now, because our class is fully online, because I don't have an office at Edinburgh, we handle office hours a little bit differently. So you've got my cell phone. It's here on the screen. It's on D2L. It's on the syllabus as well. You've also got my email address. You are welcome to email anytime. I check email usually a couple times a day and at least once over the weekend. So usually it's not longer than 24 hours for me to get back to you. Oftentimes it's much quicker than that. You're also welcome to call me on my phone 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will answer if I'm able to. If I don't, please leave a message and I'll call you back. If you don't leave a message, I won't call you back, only because I've been getting a lot of spam phone calls and I don't want to call back a number that isn't actually a working phone number. I'm happy to talk outside of the 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. hours, especially if you are in a different time zone or traveling or something like that. Just let me know. We can set up a time to talk via email. I typically don't call back after 9 p.m., and that's only because I know people have families or kids, little ones who go to sleep, that kind of thing, and I don't want to inadvertently wake up. So if you call late in the day, and if it crosses 9 p.m., I would call back the next day after 9 a.m. just because that seems to work. The one thing, you're always welcome to call, you're always welcome to email. The one thing I would ask is that you don't text, and the reason for that is really has to do with one of professionalism. Text messaging is sort of something we do with our friends. It's something we do with our family. And part of our job in graduate school is to cultivate a professional identity. So we'll stick with the more professional forms of communication like phone calls and emails. And we'll keep text messaging just for our personal lives. Yeah, okay, so moving on. So let's talk about D2L. I'm going to go through a couple of points here just on the slide on the presentation, and then I'll switch over to D2L real quick and just walk you through it. All of our readings are on D2L. We do not have a textbook unless you count the Specialized Practice Curricular Guide for Trauma-Informed Social Work Practice as the text. And that's not something you have to buy. That's a PDF. It's available, online. And I've got, you could search for it. I've also posted a PDF on D2L. I'll show you where that is in a second. So when you see the abbreviation SPCG, that abbreviation refers to, like I said, the Specialized Practice Curricular Guide for Trauma-Informed Social Work Practice. So the numbers refer to the page numbers. So for example, the reading for week 1 is the introduction, which I think is a page or 2, and then pages 1 through 15. We do also read a lot of peer-reviewed articles. The articles are always posted on D2L in the weekly module, so you don't actually need to go and find anything. You don't need to hunt for anything that's required reading for the course. All of that will be posted on D2L. The other thing I post in the weekly module are links to the discussions and/or assignment drop boxes. So all of that is again in the weekly module, and I'll show you just sort of the week 1 module here in a second. Before I do that, though, occasionally some of the readings will change, and that's especially true as we move later on into the semester. I sort of like to reserve the ability to change readings based on where we're going in the class and what kinds of things students are interested in. So there is likely to be a point when what's in the syllabus and what's on D2L are going to disagree. When that happens, go with what's on D2L. Go with what's on go with what's in that weekly module. So D2L will supersede the syllabus. I typically won't add readings, but I'm likely to replace them with readings or podcasts or something like that. The other thing I'll say about D2L is check the announcements. That's the landing page or the splash page once or twice a week, just because occasionally I have to post things in there. A couple of other things just to sort of let you know about D2L. A week in our course runs from Monday to Sunday, so new content will always open up Monday at 12 a.m. and then assignments are always due the following Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, if you live in a different time zone, you want to let me know. We can talk about what a deadline, what the end of the day would be for you in a given time zone. The only exception to that rule is the very last assignment of the semester, and the last 2 sections of the paper are due on Friday, December 6th, as opposed to Sunday. But everything else is always due on a Sunday. One last thing before I show you D2L real quick. There occasionally are technical issues. If you need to, you can always email me assignments or discussion posts. What I would recommend, the things that seem to solve most technical issues are either using a different browser or clearing the cache or resetting the browser. I have found that D2L seems to work best with Google Chrome or Firefox, or if you're using a Mac, Safari. I have not had a lot of luck using Internet Explorer or Edge, although if you have and that's what you prefer to use, that's perfectly fine with me. But like I said, when I've had trouble in the past with D2L, usually using a different browser or clearing the cache, it seems to solve sort of 95% of the problems that you have. But like I said, if D2L is ever acting funny, you want to email me an assignment, that's perfectly fine. It's not a big deal. Occasionally D2L goes down. I'm not really sure why. It seems to happen like once a semester though. If that happens, I don't have access to D2L just like you won't. So there's really nothing we can do. Check the announcements afterwards. We'll adjust due dates. We'll adjust timelines as we need to. And then again, because we're all coming from different parts of the country, and because weather is a sort of unpredictable factor. Occasionally, the internet goes down. I live in Buffalo. We get a lot of snow, and there are times when we lose internet. If that happens, there's nothing we can do about it. Again, don't worry. Check the announcements. We'll make the adjustments afterwards. So I'm just going to pause the video real quick, switch over to D2L, and just walk you through what the structure of it looks like. So here we are. This is obviously a view of D2L. My version might look slightly different only because it's the instructor view. So I have some editing, some editing options. But I just thought we'd walk through it real quick just so you're aware of all the things we're looking at. So all the if you look over here on the left-hand side, all of the weeks are organized by date. So for example, week 1 runs from August 26th, which is a Monday, to September 1st, which is a Sunday. Week 2, so on and so forth, all the way down to week 15. Now, if you were to click on any of these right now, other than week 1, they'd be empty, and that's because I have the content set to become active at midnight on Monday morning. So there wouldn't be anything in there now, but it would be there when that module opens. There is one additional module here real quick, the syllabus and text module. So syllabus is there. And then this is the link to the PDF document, the social work practice guide that I always have been abbreviating as PCG. You can download, you can either download it or just refer back to it whenever you need to, whatever works best for you. So if you click on a module, typically what I do is there's sort of 3 subdivisions in the module. There's always a reading subdivision, and so the links to articles will always be here. The only thing I won't link is the SPCG PDF, and that, like I said, that you can download or just keep in this part of D2L if you want. So I'll always put articles here, with the exception of the SPCG text. Links to lectures will always be next. So these are my lectures here. I have slides for most of them. I'll give them to you if I have them. And then the third subdivision is always the assignment subdivision. So in week 1, there's obviously a discussion that'll be linked here. If there was a paper due this week, you'll see the Dropbox here. So everything you need is in that week's module. What I typically will do up here is I'll give you the list of tasks. So I'll give you the reading. And then I haven't written it yet, but usually there's just a brief introduction, sort of a broad overview of what we're covering up here as well. So you can use the list of tasks to keep yourself organized and keep yourself on track. And then, like I said, everything else should be pretty organized for you. So, okay, let me switch over to the syllabus real quick, and we will talk through that. Okay, so this is the syllabus. We've got, again, information for our course. That's my phone number again, my email, and same thing. My open door office policy there. The course schedule is here. Again, this is likely to change, especially as we move. So all the readings and stuff you can just get from D2L. Textbook information, again, we don't have a textbook, it's the SPCG thing. List of assignments is here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there are 8 discussions. They're worth 15 points total, so the week 1 discussion is 1 point, all the others are 2 points. There's an agency assessment, a brief presentation, your review of the presentation, and then a 5-part paper that we'll write throughout the course of the semester. Due dates listed there. These are the point values, 100 points. Your grades are always updated in D2L, so you can keep track of where you stand. Again, if something doesn't look right, or you're concerned about your performance, shoot me an email. We can talk about it. I do have a description of the assignments here. So again, description of the discussion board stuff, and then a brief description of the agency assessment, the presentation, the review of presentations, and then the paper. Because I put everything on D2L, I will also put sort of standalone documents that contain descriptions of these assignments on D2L in the week that they're due. So you'll be able to reference that information on D2L as well. So again, at the risk of saying this ad nauseum, everything you always need for a given week will be on D2L, including descriptions of the assignments and Dropboxes and so on and so forth. After that, there are some rubrics. Again, those are on D2L, and then Edinburgh's policies on all of the different things that you need to know about. Questions on the syllabus, you're welcome to post in the Ask the Instructor forum or shoot me an email. Okay, I'm going to pause the video one more time and then switch back to the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so this is where we left off before we looked at D2L in the syllabus. Let me just advance the slide here real quick. In general, each week there's some reading. There's something to listen or watch, a lecture from me or a podcast or video, and then there's an assignment of some kind. 8 discussions and then papers. There is an Ask the Instructor forum that you can post in. I'd ask that you don't post personal issues in there. You can email or call me instead. I check the forum at least once a day and at least once on the weekend. Usually more, but at least once. Let's talk about discussions here real quick. In general, I would ask that you make your initial post by Thursday at the end of the day, and then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, respond to at least 2 of your colleagues, and make sure you're responding to people who respond to your initial post. The only exception to this is that introductory post. You just have to log in on that week 1 and introduce yourself. You have to do that by midnight on Monday, August 26th, and that sort of confirms your enrollment in the course. However, for the rest of the discussion posts, the Thursday guideline is fine. Discussions take the place of sort of in-person or in-class discussions. So you don't need to include citations or references. I won't penalize you if you do, but you do not need to include them. I would strongly discourage you from using quotes. I would much rather you demonstrate that you've mastered the material by using your own words. That's my sort of challenge to you. Clarity and grammar and punctuation and all that stuff do count, so make sure you proofread. You can write your posts in a Word document if you want, and then copy and paste into D2L. That's fine with me. Most of the discussions, probably require 3 to 5 sentences or more. In general, I'm not really concerned about a right answer. There aren't many right answers in the profession of social work in general. What I'm really more interested in is that you're engaging with the material and that you're thinking about it. So make a point, justify your conclusions, make sure your ideas are supported by the evidence. That's sort of my view on discussions. With respect to responses to others, I'm really interested in seeing substantive responses. So replies that consist of, nice job or great post or agreement really don't earn points. What I've provided here on this slide are 4 different sort of sample sentences that you can adapt for your own use. So I found your content about blank to be insightful because of X, Y, and Z. Or do you think that blank is also important when we're thinking about something, I think it goes without saying that responses should be respectful and thoughtful and professional. Um, and again, these templates really are to help you sort of contribute substantive discussions to our classroom environment. So let's conclude with just a few big ideas about our course real quick. So this is a course that's I've always considered it kind of fun. We get to think a lot sort of about implementing trauma-informed care and operationalizing it. How we do trauma-informed care. This is important because trauma-informed care is getting quite a bit of attention right now. It's obviously a big idea in social work, but it's also a big idea in our sister professions like medicine, nursing, education, policy making, that kind of thing. There's even a presidential candidate who talks extensively about trauma-informed care in the education system, and that's Tim Ryan. And that's exciting, and I think evidence of just how much the idea of trauma-informed care has sort of captured the national attention right now. There are a couple things that I think about with respect to trauma-informed care. It's really a way of organizing treatment and treatment systems. So it's not a treatment modality itself, but it's used in conjunction with other modalities to treat or address or intervene, whatever verb you want to use to think about social work practice. So it's used in combination or in conjunction with something else. It's an adjunct to other sort of primary interventions. I think about trauma-informed care really as akin to a universal precaution. So a universal precaution is what people who might encounter blood or bodily fluids would do. They would always put rubber gloves on or appropriate sort of protective gear to protect themselves. And that's regardless of whether or not they know the substance that they're dealing with has, any infectious material in it or not. What this does is that it provides protection to, what a universal precaution does is it provides protection sort of no matter what. And that's sort of what trauma-informed care does. At worst, it's inert. At worst, it doesn't hurt someone and it doesn't help them. But at best, trauma-informed care helps people improve. It maximizes the efficiency or the effectiveness of the other treatments that we're using. And we know, we'll talk about this in the other material for week 1, we know that given the prevalence of trauma, trauma-informed care is particularly relevant. Harris and Fallett came up with 5 big ideas or components of trauma-informed care. I'm sure you've heard them before. If you haven't, here they are. There's safety, trustworthiness, choice, collaboration, and empowerment. You can list them in whatever order you want, but those are the 5. The SAMHSA documentation on trauma-informed care has 6. They overlap an awful lot with Harris and Fallett's idea, but they are safety, transparency or trustworthiness, choice and collaboration, peer support, mutuality and empowerment, which is, again, very close to collaboration, and then attunement or attention to cultural, historical, and gender issues. Whether or not you want to think about trauma-informed care as having 5 ideas or 6 is completely up to you. Like I said, there's an awful lot of overlap between these 2 ideas, but we're going to talk about these principles over and over and over and over again. In fact, you may have been talking about them already and sort of be sick of them already. I hope that's not the case, but it might be. I think it's worth committing those, at least the 5 principles as Harris and Fallett explain them. I think it's worth committing them to memory so that you can talk about them with your colleagues in your discussion posts. You can talk about them with employers or potential employers, and you can talk about them in interviews. That'll be helpful with respect to getting a job. if you're well versed in that. And that's one of the things that new social workers entering the profession can offer to a potential employer. Despite the fact that committing, the 5 principles to memory is probably a pretty easy idea, operationalizing or implementing them is what's difficult, and that's really the focus of our course. Thinking about organizational policy and practice policy, and then social policy from sort of a trauma-informed perspective. That's what we're doing this semester. There's, like I said, this is a lot of fun. It's a lot of we get to engage with a lot of big ideas and long-range ideas, and really think about how we can make the context in which social work practice is delivered more conducive to healing and change and growth. So again, welcome to the course. You are welcome to call me Brad if you like. Dr. Lynn is also fine, but you can call me Brad. I'm looking forward to our semester together. You never have to hesitate to get in touch with me if you're struggling with something. I'm always happy to talk with students. Yeah, look forward to our work together. All right, thanks for watching.